Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be proud of you. Well, I've got 4 emails that I'm going to go through with you today. And what we're going to focus on, obviously, in the theme of this is the importance of loving yourself and being proud of yourself and perceiving yourself as a person who has value, not only to help yourself in your intimate relationships, but also in every area of your life. It's like Will Smith has this quote that I like. He says, before anybody else in the world will believe it, you have to believe it. In other words, you got to believe it yourself. Because a lot of life is knowing what you want, why you want it, and then going after that. And nobody else but you is going to understand why it is that you want what you want. And there's going to be plenty of doubters and haters and people in the world, because let's face it, people that aren't very successful, people that are too weak to follow their own dreams, always will find a reason to hate on you or to discourage your own dreams. Because at the end of the day, they don't feel good enough about themselves to be pursuing their own dreams. And when they come across someone like yourself who actually has a set of balls or believes in what they're doing and goes for what they want, you're like a giant reflection back to them of how unsuccessful and undriven and unmotivated they are themselves. And it seems like my experience in life is the majority of the people tend to be that way. The majority of the people tend to find excuses as to why they don't do what they need to do in order to lose weight or to get into shape or to start the business they've always wanted or change careers when they're really not happy or do something about their personal life when things aren't going well. Most people tend to major in minor things. So before we get into these emails, I got a quote that I wrote that I want to share with you. And it says, people will tend to perceive you how you perceive yourself. As you work to create the life of your dreams, a lot of what you want to accomplish and create may be years and even decades into the future from manifesting. However, if you have an emotionally compelling vision for your life, you know what you want and why you want it, you can then focus on what you need to accomplish day in and day out to make your visions a reality. Most people never reach their full potential because they have lousy success plans, goals that don't inspire them, and simply do not believe in themselves enough to persevere long enough to see their dreams through to reality. Remember, one of the things I've shared numerous times that I learned from Tony Robbins almost 20-something plus years ago was that people do more to avoid pain than they'll do to gain pleasure. And so if someone has a perceived pain, i.e. rejection, or they're not going to get that job they want, or that private equity investor is not going to want to invest in their company, that clouds their judgment. That holds them back. That keeps them from taking the kind of actions and embodying the enthusiasm that you really need to embody when you're passionate about something. When you think about it, you go to buy a car, and the guy's like, oh, this is the best car. I've sold 10 of these this month, and I've been getting so many great letters of people that really love this car and really appreciate it. It's exactly what they want. It's a great value. It's a great deal. Or you get a guy that comes up and is like, hey, well, maybe you'd like to buy this car. It's kind of nice, and we've been selling quite a few of them. So, if you haven't found anything better at any of the other dealerships that you looked at, and maybe you want to buy this one. Think about it. It's 2 completely different perceptions. Which guy looks confident, which guy doesn't? It's common sense, but how often do we really pay attention to those little things, especially when fear gets into our mind? You got to think of fear as like a virus. And I said this in another recent video, is that think of your body like a computer, and think of your belief system and your thoughts as kind of like the software that runs on your computer. And so if you've got a bad program or a bad virus or a corrupted program, if you will, that's running on your computer, it's not going to run very well. So let's get into the first guy's email. This guy says, Dear Coach, thank you, thank you, thank you. I had a phone session with you months ago, and because of your coaching, I now have a sense of clarity, which is awesome. I have a new focus and energy for life. I've been exercising and eating correctly, and I've lost 40 pounds. That's fucking awesome, dude. That's what happens. Just look what he said. He says, I have a new focus and energy for life. Why? Because he knows what he wants. He knows why he wants it. Therefore, he has a compelling goal and a compelling vision to go for. And therefore, he's broken it down into little daily goals of what he needs to do. He needs to focus every single day on what he eats. Trying to eat healthy 80% of the time, 20% of the time having obviously things that aren't so healthy. But at the end of the day, breaking it down to little daily goals that you can accomplish. Because if you accomplish eating healthy food and exercising like you're supposed to, in his particular case, he wanted to lose some weight, obviously he's seeing it happen. And that's a great thing to feel proud of. Because the more successes that you can have in life, the more confident you're going to feel. Because what is confidence really? It's really doing what you know how to do and doing it really, really well. And time and repetition, i.e. repetition is the mother of skill, that's where being really good at something in life comes from. It's practice. And obviously you go into a gym the first day or the first time you eat a healthy meal, you're not going to drop 40 pounds. It's over the course of several months that happens. That's making the right choices day in and day out. Whereas the average unsuccessful person is going, I'll start my diet tomorrow. I really want this banana split. I'll start it's all right. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym. But there's this 1 gallon tub of ice cream. I just got to have it. I can't let it go to waste. I wouldn't let food go to waste now. And that's what people do to themselves. They psych themselves out and they associate more pain with what they want to accomplish and more pleasure with doing what they know they shouldn't do. In other words, they don't take the actions they know they need to take. The painful outcomes that they perceive in their mind are more real than the positive outcomes of doing what they know they need to do. He says, what's the best response when a woman I know and want to bang asks if I've lost weight? Say, absolutely. I came across a great, awesome peak performance coach, and he taught me a lot about body chemistry and exercising, and I applied those principles, and I got those results because I wanted to take better care of myself. I wanted to be in a better state emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And I've stuck with it. Remember, masculine energy is all about ambition, drive, purpose, mission, succeeding, accomplishing, breaking through barriers. And that is embodying coming up with a goal and making it happen. That's ultimate display of masculinity. Remember, if you're self-conscious about it, if you have a problem with it, then guess what? You're going to radiate that. Your lack of confidence, you're going to radiate that to the woman that you're interacting with. And she's going to see that. And she's going to continue to ask you questions. And if you get butthurt or upset with her about it, she can tell that you're sensitive about it. In other words, that you feel it is a weakness of yours. But if you're proud of yourself, if you're proud of your accomplishments, like, God, I mean, that's 40 fucking pounds. That is absolutely amazing. That tells me that you have some serious discipline. That's what it takes to accomplish any kind of goals that you want to accomplish in life. So good fucking job, you pat yourself in the back. Again, to answer the question, it's put a positive spin on it. Tell her how proud of you are. Say, yeah, I lost 40 pounds in the last 6 months. I learned some key distinctions about my diet and my exercise, and I tweaked those, and it made a world of difference. I've got more energy, I feel better about myself, and obviously beautiful ladies like you have been complimenting me on it left and right, and so it's a great thing. Go ahead, you can touch me again. I know you like it. He says, I read your book twice, but I still have questions regarding Facebook. I was given the Let's Keep It Friendly speech 2 months ago. I followed your advice about not calling and texting her. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. And that's what you do. You walk and you never look back. It doesn't mean you walk and then 2 months later, when you become fearful again, that you start running and chasing after her. He says, recently she liked a few of my Facebook posts, but I still haven't reciprocated and liked any of her stuff. Good. Don't do that. Because that's typically how it starts out. They start liking things on your Facebook, and then they'll start responding or commenting on some of your Facebook posts. And then usually after that, if you banter with them a little back and forth, they'll send you a direct message because they're just trying to test the waters to see how you're feeling towards them. And they all tend to do the same things. But don't be pursuing and reaching out because you're obviously like this girl and you're thinking, hey, she's liking my post. When do I jump all over her, basically? It's a bad way to go. Let her come back to you. Let her become bolder. I don't mean ignore her, but if she likes something of yours on Facebook, there's nothing to respond to. But if she comments and addresses you directly, then yeah, you're going to respond to that. But if you respond in a playful way, and then see what she does next, she may become bolder and send you a text, or she may send you a message. And then if she does, that's when you're going to say, hey, it's great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? And then you meet up. If she's an ex-girlfriend or somebody that dumped you, just invite her, hey, why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over to my place, we'll make dinner together. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. Don't go out of your way when a woman has just blown you off and discarded you like the fucking trash. Don't be taking her to a restaurant and doing all that stuff. Let her come over and hang out and have fun and hook up at your place. And if she wants to meet out and do something like that, say, hey, it's been a long week. I'm just kind of in the mood to chill out at my place. You know, if you really insist on going out, then why don't you give me a call in a couple weeks and we'll plan something in when things kind of settle down for me a little bit. And do the takeaway. She'll either say, okay, well, let's do something in a couple weeks, which means she's really not that into seeing you, or she'll say, no, okay, I'll grab, what kind of wine would you like? Great, how about some Chardonnay? We'll do something with chicken or turkey or something. Just like that. Just keep it simple. He says her birthday is coming up, and I was wondering if a Facebook happy birthday message is out of the question. Yes, because you walked and never looked back, because she friend-zoned you and you weren't interested in that. So when you start sending her Facebook messages and all this crap wishing her a happy birthday, you're chasing her. You're looking for excuses to chase her. That's what's really going on here, because you're becoming fearful because it's been 2 months. And now you see a little bit of movement on her part, and now you want to jump all over. He says, we once had a conversation about foreign languages that we both learned in high school, and I was thinking about wishing her a happy birthday in that language on her Facebook wall. No, absolutely not. He says, I'm thinking it may give me some points for being different and the other million other generic happy birthday crap messages. No, all it is more approval-seeking behavior. Notice what he said. I'm thinking it may get me some points. That is the mindset of a guy who's trying to win her approval. That's what got you rejected in the first place. So displaying that kind of behavior, it's not going to get you where you want to be. He says, Coach, what's the playbook on this one? And can you elaborate on using Facebook? Well, just like I said earlier, if she actually writes you a comment directed at you on your Facebook post, then you respond to it. But typically what happens is respond playfully with shorter responses than what she's sending you, and then see if she gets a little bolder and sends you like a direct Facebook message or an email, or she actually texts you. And then when and if she does that, then you invite her for a date. So let's jump into the second email. This guy says, hey Corey, I'd like to start off by saying you're an absolute legend all the way from Australia. Well, legend, that's kind of a stretch. I appreciate that, dude, but I'm just another guy. There's really nothing special about me. I just teach things that are really pretty much common sense, and anybody applies what I teach, you'll get the same results. He says, you've changed my life. I'm 26 years old, and ever since high school, I have been in long-term relationships. My first girlfriend I dated for 7 years, and she cheated on me. The most recent girl dumped me because she fell out of love with me because she wanted to travel for 6 months, and I said she can travel, but if it's longer than 6 months, I'm not waiting around, basically. She chose to dump me, so for the past 3 months, I've been in strict no contact and said if she changes her mind to send me a text. And since then, I have removed her from Facebook, and I bought your ebook online to find out why women treat me like I'm replaceable. Because you act replaceable. You act like you're not worthy. You're not proud of yourself. You're not valuing yourself when you're interacting with this woman. In other words, when they do things that violate yourself and your dignity, you're just letting them do it because you like them and you want to keep them around, and you're fearful if you stand up for yourself that they're going to walk from you. But you can see when you let them walk all over you, they blow you off anyways, like you mean nothing to them. The only reason a woman blows you off like you're nothing to her is because you really don't mean anything to her, even though a couple of months earlier she may have been totally crazy, head over heels in love with you. He says, considering other women say I am the whole package, but the real reason I am contacting you is because there's this girl I've been running into at a coffee shop below my construction site. The past 3 weeks I've been going in and every morning to get my morning coffee, and it was only the second week I actually noticed this girl. I was paying for my coffee and was feeling really confident after reading your book the night before, and I didn't actually notice, but I was smiling and she looked straight into my eyes and she could see into my soul. It was amazing because she also had a smile that went with it. So I got my coffee and walked out of the store and thought, wow, that feels really good to get that kind of attention from a beautiful woman. I know it's surprising when this starts happening for the first time, but it's when you feel good about yourself and you're happy and you're smiling and you got good body language and physiology, you're going to get noticed. Why? Because you're displaying the body language and the physiology and the energy of a dominant alpha male. And women cannot help but be drawn and attracted to the most dominant male. He says, I returned a couple of days later, this time, and she was on the other side of the counter and looking straight at me as I walked through like she was waiting for me. I just walked in with a smile on my face and proceeded to the counter to get my coffee, and she did not move out of the way. Got to make a move when you see those opportunities, bro. He says, as I got closer to pay, I turned to her, and she was looking at my chest because I had my top button undone, and I was thinking, that's weird. So then I sat down this time to enjoy my coffee, and I took a big gulp, and there again she was staring straight at me and smiled. I held my hand over my mouth and had a bit of a chuckle to myself. Obviously, this is what happens. You're new to this stuff, and you're applying it, and you're going, this beautiful woman's noticing me. Because before, you just didn't think that was a possibility. It was because of how you acted. You didn't act proud of yourself. And so therefore, when a woman who looked at you and thought, hey, that's a cute guy, she looked at the look on your face and you were like, you obviously weren't very happy, you weren't very proud of yourself, and so you never really got noticed. But now that you're happy and your body language and your physiology is different, women are noticing the beauty that they see in you that was there all along. It's just the completely different vibe, different energy that you're putting off. And I know it is shocking. Usually you see that your mouth opens wide and just drops to the floor. But you get used to it. It's your birthright, dude. He says, and then I got up and left, and the following day I didn't get coffee, I got lunch, and I thought I would talk to her this time. So as she's serving me, looking down and then looking up, basically eye-fucking me, and I was doing the same this time, I asked her a few questions like, how's your day? And she replied, I'm tired, blah, blah. And I asked, what time do you finish? She said 4, and then I noticed a tattoo on her arm. Well, that's pretty good that you asked her when she finished, and you say, great, I'm off at 5 or I'm off at 6. Why don't we meet up for a drink or something? You got to be decisive and you got to remain focused. And you'll see why in a second, why I brought that up. He says, she said 4, and then I noticed a tattoo on her arm, and I said, hey, that's a cool tattoo. And she sort of looked down and smiled and looked back and stared straight into my soul again. And she said it's a song, blah, blah. And I didn't even listen to her because I was just soaking in her beauty. You became intoxicated by her beauty. You probably got a little bit of a dopey look on your face. And you lost your focus, and you didn't ask her out. You didn't finish asking her out, I should say. That's why you got to remain focused, dude. You got to be proud of you. You got to remember, this is your birthright. You deserve to have a woman look at you like this. And when a woman looks at you like this, you got to make something happen. He says, then I said, that's cool. Anyways, have a good day. So I sat down and ate my lunch, and she flicked her hair back away from her neck, and she was waving her hand like a fan on her neck. When a woman's sitting there doing, she's digging you. He says, I'm thinking, wow, she must be into me. You think? So I thought, hey, why not ask her out on a date? Well, I thought that's what you started to do, dude. That was your intent. At least that's what you said it was. He says, so I waited to see her leave for work, and I simply walked up to her and tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey. She looked down and smiled and tried to keep walking, but I stood there. Good for you. It's good standing your ground. You're like, hey. And then she keeps walking. You just stand there. Now, she can walk away, or she can come back, because an alpha male doesn't chase anybody. She then turned around to hear what I had to say, and I said, I was just wondering if I could take you out to dinner sometime. Nah. Wrong way to go about it, bro. Hey, I'd love to meet up for dinner sometime. When are you free to get together? That has confidence. But I know you're learning. That still took a lot of balls to do it. Come seeing from where you came from. So it's still a great effort. I don't expect you to be perfect first time out of the gate. He says, she sort of looked at me to the side and smiled and said, no, I have a boyfriend. And my reply was, well, he must be a lucky man. And she said, no, I don't think so. That tells you a lot about her self-esteem. If she saw herself as a catch, she'd go, yeah, he is a lucky man. But when she says something like that, she obviously doesn't perceive herself as a catch. Remember, like attracts like. Because you're kind of acting like you don't really deserve to have a woman like this, and that's how she kind of feels about herself. It's amazing how that works. It's like we're like magnets drawn to people that are exactly what we need. He says, I then replied, I really think he's a lucky man, but hey, here's my number. And she said, sure. I gave it to her, and she said, what's your name? That's a good sign. I replied, my name's Bob, but hey, I have to run. Give me a call if he plays up on you. And she just smiled at me, and I turned and walked away. I felt awesome at first because I didn't feel rejected, but the following day I had the shits because I had shit all sleep because I was playing it over and over again in my head and what I could have done better. Well, I critiqued a couple of those things, but dude, bottom line is you went for it. That's it. That's what it takes. It wasn't a big deal. She didn't punch you. She didn't say you were a creep and slap you and all those things you used to once fear. It's not really a big deal, is it? You feel good about yourself at first. But afterwards, you start second-guessing yourself because at the end of the day, probably deep down, you weren't proud of you. He says, should I have stayed and talked to her more? No, you did good. He says, but at the end of the day, personally, I did the right thing because she's taken. I know what it feels like for some grub to screw up a 7-year relationship between me and my high school sweetheart. So the next day I walked in the coffee shop a little pissed off, but happy, smiling, but I did not even look at her or acknowledge her. I got my coffee and left. Today I went in again, and this time I was getting my coffee off the barrister again, and she leans over and says, hey, and tries to eye fuck me again. I just smiled and said, hey, and walked away. Don't be a dick to her, dude, because she rejected you. It's not your fault she has a boyfriend. The idea is to leave the door open, never burn a bridge. He says, so my question, Corey, is what the hell should a man do when a beautiful woman is playing these games and I'm not used to it? Well, she obviously likes the attention, but she said yourself that obviously it doesn't sound like her boyfriend appreciates her. So if you're kind and you're charming to her and you're playful with her, you know, when you talk for a couple of minutes to her, it's easy when you leave. It's like, hey, let me know if it doesn't work out with that boyfriend because I still think you're awesome. And then you go about your life and your business. He says, I felt a strong connection or attraction to a woman that has a boyfriend before. Should I keep ignoring her or chase her and be that man that breaks up a relationship? Don't go out of your way. Just be indifferent. When you see her, be friendly to her. Don't be an asshole to her. And there's no point in ignoring her. If you're going to see her, say hello to her and be charming and be playful. But she's unavailable. Keep asking other women. You got to keep circulating. That's what I would do for you. But, I mean, hell, that's awesome, man. Be proud of what you did. That's a fucking great effort. That's what you need to do. Repetition is another skill. Imagine if you do this 100 times with 100 other women. You'll get lots of dates, dude, and you'll get a hell of a lot better. Let's get into the third guy's email. It says, hey, coach, I've been seeing this amazing woman for 9 months, and she was separated from her husband for 8 or 9 months when I met her. I was resistant at first, but decided to do it because I had done the same thing. Everything was going great, and I never had any doubts about her getting a divorce. And she told me she was trying to establish herself financially so she could provide for herself and her daughter, and that she would file around the end of this year. She's divorcing her husband because he has been having affairs on her since the birth of their daughter, and that after 8 months of just sitting around, she just wanted to move on with her life. 2 weeks ago, she called me crying because he came over to see the daughter, and they had a big fight, and he said he was going to file after the holidays. So I thought things were going to get rolling, but she and her daughter went up north for the holidays, and her husband came up as well because he wanted to be with his daughter and is well liked, and she obviously likes her father. I wasn't comfortable with this. Dude, you have no choice over it. She's still married, and at the end of the day, that father is going to be in her life for the rest of her life, the daughter's life, that is. He says, I wasn't comfortable with this, and she said they were doing it for their daughter and to maintain the optics for the holidays. You got to respect that, dude. There's nothing you can do about it. Her mother and father knew they were going to get a divorce and try to convince her to stay in it for their daughter, so she never let on that this was even an option to me. So over the holidays, I only heard from her once, and that was a text at Thanksgiving, and I didn't hear from her until the Monday after the holiday weekend. I sensed something was up. Your fear was playing into it because deep down, you don't feel proud of yourself and you don't feel you deserve to have a woman like this. But if you were a guy who was certain and said, hey, you know what? They're doing it for the daughter. I've got to trust her and wait to see. In other words, it's like Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. You got to trust women and other people until they give you a reason not to trust them. He says she called and she was cold and distant, and I had a gut feeling that her father, who was a pastor, had sat them down and talked to them. And things had maybe changed. So I asked her what was up, and she said she needed some air for a few days to think things out. You're starting to suffocate her with your behavior, dude. You're starting to act weak and unworthy and like a woman. And besides, she's been with this guy several years, and even though he's cheated on her numerous times, it's the holidays, family breaking up. You got to think about all those emotions playing on. I mean, that's been a long time she's been with this guy. He said, I asked to think about what? And she told me that she needed some space and time to think. I told her that it didn't work for me, but I loved her and I wanted her, but she could call me if she changed her mind. I told her this yesterday, and she called me crying a few times today, already telling me she loves me. Make a date. And asking me why can't I be her friend through this? What should I do? How should I handle her calls? Well, you gotta tell her to say, I'm not interested in being only your friend, and if you're friend zoning me so you can go explore potentially rebuilding or repairing your marriage, I'm not interested in that at all. You and I have been dating. When we first met, we started dating and seeing each other because you told me you were in the process of getting a divorce. Now, if that's not the case, obviously that's a different issue. But if it is that she's friend zoning you, or she's asked you to do it because you're not really clear in your email, you got to be clear that you ain't interested in that. But give you a call if she changes her mind. And then when she calls you, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. Then you make the next date. Stop trying to control her and lock her down, dude. You're not going to get anywhere with that behavior. Let's get into the fourth and final email. This guy says, hey, Corey, how are you? Awesome. Thanks for asking. He says, it's not a massive emergency, but I wanted to know what the interest of this girl is. There's this woman at work, and she knows I'm keen on her, and I found out through a mutual friend that she's keen on me, which I wasn't meant to find out, apparently. Anyway, after I found out that she was interested in getting to know me better, we started emailing each other and just general stuff, in which she eventually gave me her personal number without me asking. That's a good sign. When women do that, it means they really like you. In other words, hey, here's my number, please give me a call. Let me get your email, and they'll ask for your number as well. That's a good sign of attraction. But notice that you went in for the emailing. If you knew she was interested in you, you should have just walked right over to her and said, hey, you and I should grab a drink sometime. When are you free to get together? Just like that. But despite all that, she still gave you her number. Very good sign. See, this is what happens when a girl really digs you like this. It's pretty hard to fuck it up. In other words, you can make a lot of mistakes before you blow it. But if her attraction level was like a 5 or a 6, you could have probably gotten rejected just by her not asking her out right away. He says, the other day I texted her when I was downstairs in the office to see if she wanted to come to lunch with me and a workmate. Never do that, dude. Don't be doing group dates. Don't be doing lunches. That's the kind of thing that the therapist and the gay male girlfriend does. If she wanted to come to lunch with a workmate at this specific spot. We text a lot, so nobody at work catches on. You should be making dates, dude. You're friend zoning yourself and you don't even realize it. And she replied saying that she couldn't because she had a deadline, but could I please bring her back something that she wanted? She insisted on paying and said not to worry about it, and she then said that we can go to lunch next week together on her. Well, that's a good sign. The question is, I've been reading about compliance tests and shit tests that women do, and does me agreeing to bring her back lunch somehow mean I failed that one? You're not making dates, dude. You're acting like the friend. You're acting like how 97% of guys that she encounters acts. And she also texted me on Friday saying, I hope you have a good weekend. Hey, I am. What are you up to this week? We should get together and meet up for a drink sometime. When are you free? It's like, hello. And she's like, dude, I'm interested. Please ask me out. And you're like, hey, can I take you to lunch with my friend here from lunch? Come on, dude. It's like she's serving herself on a silver platter and you're like dancing around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. That's what I would do for you. This girl likes you, man. Just ask around. Hey, we should get together for drinks sometime. When are you free to get together? Simple as that. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching. And you can do that by clicking the products tab on any page of my website and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.